State Farm. They're heading to Minnesota, get practice during the week with the Vikings, and then they'll play their last game, the third preseason game, before they get a week off before the season starts at Washington. So Cardinals getting geared up. Of course, a lot of conversation is about the quarterback position. Who's going to be the backup to Colt McCoy? I think Colt McCoy is serviceable. He's someone just going to put in there and see what he can do. Hopefully he stays healthy, and he can just at least make these games somewhat competitive, because this could be one of those years where they're getting blown out every week.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have the depth.
Yeah, just last through it. And you're right, Rock. I mean, it was very noticeable against this Chiefs team, just lack of depth, especially in that second half. And you can't put you only put 3 points on the board against their second, third teamers. Just goes to really drop off. And the one thing area is just a lack of running game against a good team in that first half. A very stout defense with the Chiefs. You're only averaging like 3.5 yards per carry. But to kind of blow the doors off of in the second half with the second, third teamers just shows you how far this team has to go get the talent on the team. And then in reference to watching the first team offense, didn't really show a lot of dink and dunk by Colt McCoy. Really haven't seen this team stretch the field with any of their top-notch receivers. Rondale Moore, a couple of crossing routes. Dortch come across on a 10-yard route, crossing route. A lot of crossing routes per se. Mm-hmm. Nothing really going down the field. If anybody, David Blau seems to be the only guy that really gets the ball down the field. He's kind of he understands it. See, I think a lot of that is lack of experience from Clayton Toombs. We talk about who's going to be the backup to the backup, and it's kind of where we're at right now, folks, until Kyler Murray gets back into the fold. But the one thing I look at for this team overall is if you got certain situations you had last week where you did a good job, third down conversions. Hell, they're only 3 of 13 this week, and you give up over 50% on third down conversions. And I think the mobility of the Patrick Mahomes is one thing, but the things I see defensively, and more importantly, the whole Isaiah Simmons experiment, I'm sorry, folks, it's not working with him at safety, out of position twice, out of coverage position twice. I know Shoffley, the quarterback, going scrambling left. I know he's looking to probably go out of bounds, cuts back inside. He kind of olays him as he goes by. And then his lack of aggressiveness. Folks, he's a will linebacker, a weak outside linebacker. That's where he needs to be. Otherwise, I feel right now, guys, this team is stuck with Isaiah Simmons. Not that they're going to cut him, but they're stuck with him and really nowhere for him to go.
Manuch, how many seasons now have you been screaming for Isaiah Simmons to play that outside linebacker role?
This is year number 5. Year number 5.
Let me ask you, why is that? Because it seems as though there are not a lot of other talking heads and guys that played the game like you are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But for some reason, these coaches, and there's different coaches every year, it seems like they can't find the right spot for this guy.
I think a couple things is when you look at the from this Cardinals as far as their depth chart and all the things are concerned, is I think that he's getting beat out. Otherwise, the kid's a hell of an athlete. We know that.
Yeah.
He's long.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't feel he's aggressive enough coming up against the run. They can't cover. Can't cover slot guys. Has a hard time with tight
ends. Yep.
He's just kind of one of those hybrid athletes that really is not good enough at those two positions. And I think it would be hard for them when they put him at backup at safety. Maybe put him at backup at will side linebacker, the weak side linebacker, but that's his position. So what I noticed, to answer your question, Rock, is he's not really good against the run. He's fast. He's quick. He's more of a true edge guy that can come in off of as far as rushing the quarterback. But otherwise, you got to be a good run stopper. You got to be a guy that can hold pressure, can set the edge on the outside, but he's also very easily blocked as well, too.
All right, so then on third down situations and the opposition has more than 5 yards to go to make that first down, so it's pretty much a passing situation. Do you throw him in at the edge opposite of Zaven Collins and just say, hey, go after the QB or not?
You know what? I think they're going to have to get more creative because he's not doing any good, I feel, in my opinion, in the secondary. I really don't. Unless he comes up on a slot corner, you saw twice. I don't know if it was blown coverage. If it's blown coverage, why is he not in position? And then as far as man-to-man coverage, you just can't cover. Okay, let's just face it, you just can't cover. And if I can hear Jonathan Gannon's comments yesterday in reference to talking about Isaiah Simmons, I think we're very guarded. We're very, okay, I'm protecting my guy. Instead of saying we have some issues there versus, hey, we're going to put him in some better positions. We're working on it. It was very, very
it was very vanilla.
Vanilla,
yeah.
Very surfaceable to the point where we got some issues here.
Yeah.
And I think that they do. But he's an outstanding athlete, so I think right now, I'm watching that game, that they're got to make some changes. And to answer your question, Rock, as far as that Will linebacker.
You already did.
Well, Ojulari's obviously the rookie.
I did ask you about the linebacker.
Yeah, the outside linebacker, the Will linebacker, Ojulari, who's
Right.
seems to be that guy, more aggressive,
Okay.
more physical guy for the kind of defense they want to run.
Well, here's good news. The Cardinals, according to Bob McManaman, have released veteran punter Matt Hack, and they have signed running back Stevie Scott.
Well, obviously,
There you go.
I think a lot of the waiver wire is going to get looked at these next 2 weeks.
Oh, yes.
A lot of lack of talent there. And the good thing about these preseason games is the good, bad, and indifferent will be exposed. And I think another litmus test is the 2 practices in Minnesota this week before they play the game on Saturday night and come across healthy. But guys, I feel there'll be a lot of waiver wire guys picked up for the minimums, for the veteran minimums.
Okay.
And I know for a fact that they're bringing a lot of guys and haven't looked at guys from the XFL, USFL are coming through the Cardinals complex as far as getting looked at to at least have some kind of talent pool or backup pool as the season goes on. Just a long way to go. And you see this Chiefs organization, they are buttoned up. They're dialed in. They got talent. They got speed.
Yep.
They are aggressive up front. And then to see the huge drop-off of this Cardinals team, even in that first half, as far as trying to stay with it.
I can reference this, and that is I watched a couple of the games over the weekend, at least the first quarters, because most teams played their starters. And the starters on the teams that I happened to sample were all way better than the starters on the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and there's a lot to that because it's just, and when you talk about rebuild, Monty Austin Fort sees what's going on or not going on.
Yeah.
And a couple times they showed him up there
3 minutes
in the box. You can see the frustration in his face about guys, not so much, I'm not going to say talented, you guys, but just being out of position.
Mm-hmm.
Here you are 4 weeks into training camp. I know it's a second game. And Andy Reid threw some motion stuff and some other odds and ends. And it just seems though.
He ran a jet sweep. Andy Reid did.
Well, remember, Andy likes to get ready for preseason.
He does.
For the season,
You're
too.
right.
He wants to come out guns ablaze. He doesn't want to just save anything.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind running a few things. And, hey, Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, he's bringing stunts. And
he's blitz,
I mean, hey, if I'm John Gannon.
That's why you play the games, right?
Exactly.
That's it.
If I'm John Gannon,
2
thank you
minutes.
for doing that.
Yeah.
So my guys can adjust and read, and especially with Tune at quarterback, they threw a couple things at him that he took off because he didn't step up and didn't quite see what the coverage was, and he got a couple first downs. Those are some things you looked at.
I was going to say, you mentioned the Chiefs and Cardinals comparing starters, and why the Chiefs have done so well, I thought, is how they've been drafting the last couple of years. They're starting corners, 2 7th-round picks and a 4th-round pick the last 2 years.
Wow.
So back to Rudy's point about Steve Keim, sort of blame in the last couple of years, last 5 years, when it comes to drafting and establishing these players.
Isaiah Simmons, first-round draft choice, classic case. He's kind of been out there on all dressed up, nowhere to go, and then you got Zaven Collins, who I felt is finally at that left defensive end, stand up, sit down, whatever you want to call it. To me, is probably at home with the position. Doesn't have to think a lot.
1 minute. 1 minute.
He's a good run enforcement guy. He sealed the edge a couple times, I thought, on some of the sweeps and the kickout blocks that he was getting. I think he'll be fine there at that defensive end position. So, right now it's very noticeable how far this team has to go as far as building and moving forward.
But how long is it going to take for him to learn that position, though? He just went the whole camp and spring ball learning safety, and it's not working out.
Well, he does know he knows the inside backer position he's not suited for. He does know the will linebacker position, which he's not suited for. So I don't know where the hell you play
I was just going to say, where's he going to play that?
He's
special teams. That's it.
He's just kind of, you talk about Steve Keim, one of those picks that just did not work out. And for this kid, I don't know where he's going to go. So how much he plays against Minnesota to make sure he understands what's going on. I think he would play at least a half.
Okay.
Because you got 2 weeks to get ready for that Commanders game, and at that point, we'll see what happens from there.
Hey, we are going to catch up with Craig Fouie next from ABC 15, but we do want to remind you tomorrow is Tuesday, and that means we are at a Barrio Queen. There's 7 of them throughout the valley, And we are going to be out at the Tempe location to celebrate El Bandino Yankee Tequila Tuesday. We'll be there from 1 to 4. We encourage you to stop by, have some incredible, authentic Mexican food, and try the new El Bandino Yankee Tequila. And make sure you tune in at 2:15 for your chance to win a $25 gift card from Barrio Queen as part of our contest we do with the owner, former Packer, Jim Morris. So that's all coming up tomorrow from the Barrio Queen in Tempe. Craig Fouie, Factor Fouie's next. This is Fox Sports 910.